A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of SCOPE, an apex body of public sector enterprises in India, and GIZ, I would like to welcome all of you today to the program on climate action initiatives of public sector in India. Though the weather is already very warm, but let's start with a round of applause, as the yogic science also says. So a round of applause for all of us today. Today is indeed a very significant day as we are joined by eminent panelists right from Government of India to Government of Germany, industry experts spanning experience of over 3 decades on and off the dais, and of course, the climate change fraternity with us today. So thank you all. We are also honored to have media representatives today. Given the overwhelming response, SCOPE is live streaming the event today, and it's being watched by over 250 public sector enterprises. I think this also deserves a round of applause for all the public sectors who are working very hard. With climate change finding a dedicated space in SDGs, there has been a constant desire for development in this area, and the need for climate change mitigation has gradually become responsibility of individuals and corporates along with the Government of India. With this perspective, SCOPE India and GIZ Germany have collaborated to take important steps to build capacities and facilitate PSEs in paving a forward-looking path for playing a diligent role in the climate change sector in India. For this purpose, SCOPE and GIZ have taken many important initiatives over the past few years. SCOPE and GIZ also deemed fit to highlight and showcase the varied efforts of the PSEs to adopt and adapt climate mitigation solutions through innovative action. In this regard, we are honored to present to you a compendium of initiatives of PSEs towards building a low-carbon economy, highlighting the innovative endeavors of over 26 PSEs to mitigate climate change. So let's hear what the compendium entails and brings for the readers. For this, may I invite Kundan Bernwal, Senior Advisor, GIZ, for presenting a brief on the compendium. Over to you, Kundan.
Thank you, Samriddhi. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. And I would also like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you to this very important event which we are organizing with SCOPE. Okay, so climate change mitigation is one of the most pressing concerns of the world today, and we all know that. And the fact that the horizon of environmental concern has moved beyond contributing to the green cover and is focusing on integrating mitigation practices in organizational processes, linking reduction in carbon footprint and commercial prudence. Now, given the importance of the topic and the global commitment which is made around climate change, corporates become key players in balancing the commercial prudence and the environment. It is imperative for the corporates to explore the critical role of technology in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, building resilience to impacts of climate change. Hence, companies across the world are adopting new technologies, not only in increasing automation and efficiency of work, but also to navigate ways to reduce carbon footprint and contribute to climate goals. Now, PSCs, we all know, have been powerhouses of research and development, apart from being one of the most important components of the Indian economy and a vital pillar of development. And hence, they play an extremely crucial role in supporting the Indian government in meeting its climate goals. Their role becomes even more important considering the fact that they are present in several hard-to-abate sectors. Several Indian PSCs have already embarked on this journey of transition to low-carbon economy with vigor and spearheading innovations that will benefit their sector in the country and across the globe. In light of this, GIZ and SCOPE has been collaborating since 2019 to enhance the capacities of public sector enterprises on climate action and facilitate knowledge exchange on various topics on climate action, for example, climate policy, carbon pricing and markets, and climate finance. As a part of the recently concluded Memorandum of Understanding between SCOPE and GIZ, we conducted an extensive capacity and training needs assessment, and this led to development of a training curriculum which was meeting the requirements of the PSC officials. And these training modules were piloted in 4 training workshops across the country. And as we speak, this training curriculum is being converted into a self-paced e-learning certification course by Frankfurt School of Management, SCOPE and GIZ, and will soon be available to all the PSCs. Now, Indian PSCs have spearheaded several low-carbon innovations in the sectors, while they continue to examine how innovative climate technology can help achieve the NDCs under the Paris Agreement, and also contribute to India's 2070 net zero goals. Given the multitude levels of these innovations, SCOPE and GIZ conceptualize this compendium, which we will be launching today. The compendium is called Initiatives Towards Building a Low Carbon Economy, to highlight the dedicated efforts of PSCs to combat climate change. It gives me immense pleasure to briefly share the highlights or the findings of, or what is presented in this compendium, which is the first of its kind knowledge product developed with significant contribution from the public sector enterprises. The compendium documents innovative climate change mitigation technologies which has been developed and implemented by the PSCs in India. The intention of the compendium is to facilitate knowledge exchange amongst players with important, hard-to-abate economic sectors to support a faster low-carbon transition. In this compendium, there are 26 PSCs that actively participated, and they participated based on their information around energy intensity, emissions intensity, secondary data available on low carbon activities and projects undertaken by them for reducing carbon footprint. The compendium was compiled through a very extensive secondary research as well as detailed one-to-one conversation that we had with each PSC that is presented in the compendium. The compendium does not only highlight innovative products and processes developed by the PSCs, but also the uptake of mature technologies like renewable energy. The compendium also demonstrates the immense technical capacities of the public sector enterprises to explore, innovate, and scale low carbon opportunities within their business sectors. While compiling this compendium, SCOPE and GIZ also felt that there is a potential for descriptions of the technology and process interventions in the compendium. You will also find that it talks about ease of replicability and scalability, which can kickstart such conversations and collaborations. In India, part 2, initiatives of environmental improvement and sustainable development adopted by the Indian PSCs, and part 4, which evolved during the course of designing the compendium, talks about global technologies. And this section actually discusses technologies that are being developed elsewhere in the world And this section has been incorporated with the intent of describing the outlook and practices towards technology intervention for reducing carbon footprint. We hope with this document, the world gets to know of the excellent work that the Indian PSCs are doing in climate action and is capable of creating fertile ground for greater collaborations both within India as well as across the borders. We anticipate that even in the upcoming memorandum of understanding, which we will be signing today between GIZ and SCOPE, we will be able to continue to shine a spotlight on the wonderful innovations undertaken by PSCs for climate action and low carbon transition. With that, I'll stop here. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Karin Deckenbach. I'm working for the Climate Action Project who, with SCOPE, is organizing this event and our MOU. Now, on behalf of GIZ India, I very warmly welcome everybody of you, in particular our dignitaries, His Excellency the German Ambassador. Would you please come to the dais and take a seat, as well as our GIZ India Country Director, Dr. Julie Rivera. And SCOPE hat. Is it okay? Gott sei Dank bist du sportlich.
Thank you, Karen. Now I would like to invite the Indian dignitaries on the dais. Now may I request Mr. Gurdeep Singh, CMD NTPC, to please come on the dais and take his place. A round of applause, everyone. I also request Mr. Pawan Kumar, Principal Advisor to the Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance. Please come on the dais. Mr. Sandeep Kumar Gupta, CMD GAIL and Chairman SCOPE, and of course, Mr. Atul Sopti, Director General SCOPE, will please take their places on the dais. Now, as we say in common parlance, with the House full, let's extend a warm welcome to the dignitaries with a token of our respect and green initiative. I request my colleagues to please welcome foremost His Excellency German Ambassador to India, Dr. Philip Ackerman. Welcome, sir. It's totally as a collaboration and program. I request my colleagues to please welcome Mr. Pawan Kumar, Principal Advisor, DPE, Ministry of Finance, to the program. Welcome, sir. I also request my colleague to please welcome Mr. Gurdeep Singh, CMD NTPC. Welcome, sir. Please welcome Mr. Sandeep Kumar Gupta, CMD GAIL and Chairman SCOPE. Welcome, sir, to SCOPE-GIZ collaboration. We also welcome Dr. Julie Rivera, Country Director, GIZ, for collaborating with us proactively and always extending her cooperation. Welcome, ma'am. We also welcome our very own Mr. Atul Sopti, Director General, SCOPE, to the program. Welcome, sir. Before we proceed with the program, I would request our Director General SCOPE, Mr. Atul Sopti, to please render his opening remarks. Just to briefly tell you about Sir, who is not aware. Sir is a visionary leader having a versatile experience of over 4 decades in the public sector and has been leading as Director General SCOPE. Before that, he was CMD BHEL, a Maharatna public sector enterprise. With this brief introduction, I invite Sir for his opening remarks.
Thank you. A very good morning, everyone. Respected His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Philip Ackerman, Mr. Pawan Kumar, Principal Advisor, Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance, Dr. Julie Rivera, Country Director, GIZ, Mr. Gurdeep Singh, CMD, NTPC, Mr. Mohammad Al Khawat, Cluster Coordinator, GIZ India, Mr. Sandeep Gupta, CMD GAIL, and Chairman SCOPE, Executive Board members of SCOPE, senior officials from Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance, Government of India, chief executives and directors from various public sector enterprises, senior officials from public sector, SCOPE, GIZ, and dear participants who have joined in person as well as virtually because of the paucity of space. We are streaming live, and many public sectors, they are viewing it live. And of course, last but not the least, our friends from the media, from electronic media and the print media, who have spared their valuable time and have come to witness this historic moment. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you once again, and it's honor that we have today eminent panel of dignitaries on the dais as well as off the dais. And as mentioned, the overwhelming response which we got, and from the gamut of sectors who are present here, it clearly reflects the importance that the subject we have today with us and which we are going to discuss. India, as you know, today is the 5th largest economy of the world, and it embarks on the fast track mode of growth and development. But on the other hand, there are certain issues also associated with us, as it ranks third amongst the primary energy consumption and also among the most carbon emitting countries. But we have a powerful, a visionary leadership at the helm of the country, our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, who has given the commitment and who has enabled the assertive policies and implementation of drive for this climate action today. And results are definitely all of us seeing. And today, we are among the top 5 countries on the climate change performance and best among the G20 countries. And this endeavor of Government of India, public sector enterprise have to play a key role for abating these issues. You know, just to tell you a brief about the public sector, they contribute close to 13.5% of the GDP. In terms of the revenue, it's 390 billion US dollar. It's very impressive figure. Just imagine, out of the total GDP figures which are available of the 216 countries, I was going through it, 80% of the countries, that is 176, are below this threshold of 390. Only 20% are above this 390 billion US dollar. That's the enormity of operations which these public sectors are having. And on the other hand, the role becomes very vital because, as my previous speaker was also mentioning, we are present in the strategic sector, but yet hard to abate sectors with the carbon emissions, which are largely inherent to their nature of operations. The point is, whatsoever they are in strategic sector, but definitely the carbon emission is there. Just to give an example, 90% of the coal production in the country is from these public sector enterprises. 50% of the installed pump capacity comes from these public sector enterprises. 75% of the crude production comes from these public sector enterprises. 70% of the natural gas comes from these public sector enterprises. So it makes it very clear that without the engagement and involvement of the public sector enterprises, or they are known as the state-owned enterprises in certain countries, this war against climate change will not be successful. And with this perspective in mind, SCOPE, the apex body of public sector enterprises or the state-owned enterprises, we decided to enter into collaboration in 2019, incidentally the year when I joined SCOPE also. And subsequently in 2021, it paved the way for the capacity building projects for the climate change mitigation of the public sector enterprises. And it has been very satisfying journey. We created the vertical also in SCOPE, and it is a subject which is close to my heart also. And we have done a lot of work from the capacity building to the conducting a lot of workshops for assessment of the training needs also, and bridging the capability gaps also, and then hand-holding of certain public sector enterprises in the various areas of the climate change mitigations. And in fact, while during the course of engagement with these public sector enterprises, we found a lot of good work has been done by the public sectors in the technology area. So we thought, why not to showcase it to the organizations, not only the public sector, but in the corporate sector as a whole, the world as a whole. Because I have worked in the public sector close to 4 decades, I see that normally public sector enterprises are shy of these things expressing what they are doing. They are doing a lot of good work. We thought, why not to come out with a compendium where all these technologies are showcased, and when you will see the compendium, you will see the kind of work which is being done by these organizations is tremendous. It's very, very impressive. 26 organizations, through careful discussions among ourselves, were finalized, who were in hard to abate sectors also, and they have taken a lot of initiatives. As my friend from GIZ were mentioning, we had one-to-one discussion also, we had survey also. Extensive work was done, and this compendium is there. Parallelly, what we did, we developed a format showcasing the efforts of 7 public sector enterprises which are in hard to abate sectors and what they are doing in the climate change. That's another video which are going to release today. And it's a proud moment. And I'm sure that this SCOPE-GIZ publication and the video will be an eye-opener on many fronts and also promote the peer learning and synergy. I like to congratulate all the public sector enterprises who have contributed to it, and they are present here, and the commendable work which was done by GIZ and SCOPE team together. When it's important to definitely bask in the glory of the past efforts, it's also imperative to continue the efforts in the future also, and definitely keeping this in mind, SCOPE and GIZ would be reaffirming their partnership for the 3rd time so as to build up the capacities. And it's interesting that over the period, over the journey of last 4 years, it has gone from one phase to another phase. 2019 MOU, what we did, primary objective was to create the awareness and building the teams and capacity in the climate change. And we are very successful in that area, and we are quite satisfied with that. Second MOU came, we thought we should explore and support implementation of studies and pilot on the climate and sustainable development related issues. A lot of work was done. That was also quite satisfying. Now the MOU which you are going to sign today, this is much more ahead as when we compare with the creating awareness and dealing with the pilot projects, etc. We are going to work to devise the solutions to meet and achieve sustainable and inclusive development in the thematic area of energy, environment, climate change, biodiversity, sustainable urban and industrial development, as well as sustainable economic development. In the coming years, for ourselves, we have given a very aggressive, very optimistic program to work together the SCOPE and GIZ. Many of them I like to share with you. We will not only be doing the capacity building and enhancement, which is one of the most important things which we need to do, but we will be facilitating the public sector enterprises in developing the strategies and utilizing the tools to accelerate the low carbon transition. We will explore the possibility of working on the carbon markets and carbon pricing. We will be sharing this co-benefit technologies or methodologies to other Asian countries also, promoting the knowledge sharing. Then we are going to have some kind of climate change index. That's a very ambitious plan we are having. Climate change index we are trying to have. Then another very important thing we have found during this course of discussions and with the various public sector enterprises, at the moment there is lack of formal on the job certification. People are there, they are taken from one department to this kind of a sustainable department or so, but formal training although is being given, but certification, which in today's environment, which is called micro credentials, and Government of India is also working in a big way in the micro credentials. We decided that we will have a certification program in this regard, and we are quite ahead in that, and sooner or later we are going to introduce that also. It's an ambitious, but it's doable. We have our plate is full, but I am confident SCOPE and GIZ, with the support of policymakers, Government of India, Government of Germany, and all the public sector enterprises, we will achieve this objective we are setting for ourselves. While we embark on this new journey, the presence of such eminent guests on the dais is a true motivator. We welcome German Ambassador to India, Mr. Philipp Eckermann, once again. Despite his busy schedule, sir, we are very thankful to you that you have been able to spare your valuable time and grace the occasion. Your presence reflects the blessings of the German government to this partnership and the project. It also furthers the importance of the Germany attaches to India to achieve the much needed target on the climate change which all of us are committed for. We are very grateful to our Secretary Department of Public Enterprises, Mr. Rizvi, Ministry of Finance, for supporting SCOPE in the endeavors, and this is reflected in the presence of Mr. Pawan Kumar here. He is the Principal Advisor, Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance, along with many other senior officials from Department of Enterprises, Department of Public Enterprises. Thank you for gracing the occasion today. The support is very encouraging to move ahead confidently. We are happy to have with us Mr. Gurdeep Singh, CMD NTPC, who is the power man of the country. And in fact, he is the person who is responsible for the majority of the electricity generation in the country, the largest electricity producer in the country. I am deeply indebted to him and thankful to him. I just only mentioned that this program is going to be there immediately. Agreed for that, despite his busy schedule. He changed his schedule also for this. Thank you very much, Mr. Gurdeep Singh ji. Just to mention that this particular organization was primarily set up in the around 1975 for thermal power projects. And under his leadership, it is now foraying into different new areas, electricity generation via hydro, nuclear, renewable energy sources, and it is targeting to achieve net zero emission in the due course. We will be hearing his views in this regard also. We are happy to have Shri Sanjeev Kumar Gupta, our own chairman of SCOPE, and CMD Gale, who has recently been elected as the chairman of SCOPE. With his commitment on the subject comes from his long association with the Indian Oil Corporation Limited and now on Gale. And the vision he has spelled during the last board meeting with the new executive board of SCOPE, many of the members are present here. This not only aligns with the SCOPE's commitment in the area, but also further is manifold. We also welcome our partners, our friends, Dr. Julie, Country Director, GIZ, and Mr. Mohammed Al Khawad, whose constant support has enabled to make the partnership more meaningful. We are happy that GIZ is our partner on this important agenda, and we value this relationship. I would like to once again extend a warm welcome to all CMD directors and senior officials from the public sector fraternity. For this, definitely we have chalked out an ambitious agenda, and we look forward continued support from Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance, all the public sector, as well as all the officials from GIZ to achieve these targets which are trying to set for ourselves. Once again, thanks all of you for your time and presence today, and assure that SCOPE would always remain committed in this area, which is one of the most important area for us. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for so comprehensively outlining what public India is and what their contribution means to the climate change agenda, and also highlighting the key aspects of what SCOPE and GIZ partnership brings on the table. Thank you again, sir. Now, without wasting any further time, I would like to invite Mr. Sandeep Kumar Gupta, Chairman SCOPE and CMD Gale, to please address the participants. Sri Gupta has a wide experience of over 3 decades in the oil and gas industry and has held very important positions in leading PSEs in India. Welcome, sir, and over to you.
His Excellency Dr. Philipp Eckermann, German Ambassador to India, Shri Gurdeep Singh, CMD NTPC, Shri Pawan Kumar, Principal Advisor, Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance, Atul Sopti ji, Director General, SCOPE, Dr. Julie Rivera, Country Director, GIZ, Mr. Mohammad Al Khawat, Cluster Coordinator, GIZ India, Senior Officers from Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change and DP Ministry of Finance, Chief Executives and Directors from the public sector, Senior Officers from the public sector, and SCOPE, and participants present here and those connected through web. Good morning to all of you and welcome to this program on climate action by public sector enterprises in India. Such a gathering simply reflects the very importance of this event. Where on one hand, we have industry players with us having a vast experience in a wide array of areas. We also have subject experts from GIZ Germany who have been tirelessly working on this important subject of climate change so as to make this earth a better place for our future. Climate change and sustainability has been a very pertinent subject in the recent times, and I am happy to see SCOPE working so closely on this very important subject, especially with India taking the center stage on various global platforms, expressing its support for the agenda of climate change mitigation. The topic is very relevant as the latest scientific evidence shows that the world is dangerously close to crossing the threshold of irreversible climate change. The devastating impacts of extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and ocean acidification are already being felt around the world. And if we fail to act now, the consequences for our planet and our future will be catastrophic. Let us take a look on how climate change has impacted our own country here in India. As per RBI report on climate and finance 2023, India lost nearly $69 billion in 2019 alone due to climate-related events. Floods in India during 2019 affected nearly 14 states, causing displacement of around 1.8 million people. Overall, around 12 million people were impacted by the intense rainfall during the monsoon season in 2019, with the economic loss estimated to be around 10 billion US dollars. Changing patterns of monsoon rainfall in India could cost the economy 2.8% of its GDP and depress the living standards of nearly half of its population by 2050. India could lose anywhere between 3% to 10% of its GDP annually by 2100 due to climate change in the absence of adequate mitigation policies. India could account for 34 million of the projected 80 million global job losses from heat stress associated productivity decline. To appreciate how these two very important different administrative entities have to work in tandem. On one hand, the expense towards mitigation measures, that is implementation measures of net zero program by industry. If both arms are braided together, the implementation cost can be reduced significantly. Most of the public sectors have firmed up their net zero plans. The basic levers to meet this mammoth challenge for decarbonization of economy are renewable energy, that is solar and wind, electrification of processes coupled with greening of grid, bioenergy, that is CBG, biodiesel, bioethanol, etc., green hydrogen, and carbon capture and storage or carbon capture utilization and storage. Most of these technologies are mature ones except CCUS and green hydrogen. Any international disturbance may imperil the net zero program of a nation or a country as a nation or a corporate, as the supply chain is very much vulnerable, as most of the materials, that is minerals like nickel, copper, graphite, lithium, manganese, etc., and finished products are being imported from select countries in the world. To address this vulnerability, I call upon, as chairman of SCOPE, that we should aggregate the overall requirement, that is total solar generation, wind generation, electrification required, bioenergy, etc., of all public sector. This data needs to be further analyzed for creating the supply chain of capital items under Make in India program. This initiative will create the manufacturing hub for domestic demand as well as support the world in achieving the overall net zero at international level. Now, financing is an essentiality of such implementation of net zero programs. We have to devise a financial model which can align our existing decision-making process towards green finance, that is score on ESG metrics, carbon tax, cross-border carbon tax, impact on climate events, etc. Basically, it is an investment for future of the Mother Earth. It will not be out of place to mention here that that developing countries like India need access to low-cost finance, considering that there is a energy consumption which is likely to grow multifold with the growth in the standard of living in these countries. And the per capita emission of these countries still remains far, far below than the developed world. SCOPE is the voice of public sectors, and a very close coordination and influence is to be created with the policymakers to address the credit line for financing the net zero programs of public sectors. Today, I am glad that SCOPE and GIZ Germany are releasing a critical publication, a compendium on innovative climate change mitigation technologies and practices by PSES, which encompasses some very unique technological products and processes being undertaken by PSES. Also glad that the partnership of SCOPE and GIZ also conceptualized a novel idea of showcasing the climate change mitigation initiatives of individual PSEs, specifically those present in hard-to-abate sectors. This clearly outlines that the public sector in India is committed to achieve the national agenda of meeting commitments to combat climate change, which would in turn be a significant contributor in achieving sustainability goals. I am also glad that while showcasing the public sector efforts, SCOPE and GIZ are furthering the partnership which envisages many more ambitious projects for promoting environmental sustainability. I am looking forward to this also eagerly. I believe with team of SCOPE and GIZ, the implementation would be enthusiastic as ever. I would like to congratulate SCOPE and GIZ teams for their committed efforts and thank DG SCOPE for guiding the apex body to undertake assignments and projects in such progressive subjects that would go a long way in strengthening the PSEs. We look forward to more invigorating initiatives of SCOPE and assure of support of Executive Board of SCOPE whenever and wherever needed. Here, I would also like to request the public sector to actively engage with the support SCOPE and support SCOPE because it's for the benefit of all. Personally, I am committed to this cause and assure of wholehearted support of SCOPE in order to strengthen PSEs in the area of climate change mitigation. With this, I once again welcome all the dignitaries on the dais and also express my thanks to all of you for gracing this occasion in such large numbers today, thereby supporting us in our endeavors. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this very insightful talk. Now, on behalf of GIZ India, I warmly welcome our country director, Dr. Julie Riviere, to give us our perspective.
Dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, a very warm welcome to this very promising engagement that marks an important milestone in India-German development cooperation. Climate change remains to be one of the key concerns in the 21st century. We already heard about it quite a bit. And it's demanding action from all countries on multiple fronts. Countries all over are witnessing the impacts of climate change, and the need for action has been resounding with great urgency. India has been taking several steps to address this global challenge. Less than a year ago, it has updated its nationally determined contributions which seek to enhance the country's contributions towards the achievement of the goals of the Paris Agreement. As the federally owned public benefit enterprise under the government of Germany, GIZ is very happy to partner with the government of India and support its climate action goals. Climate action demands participation from all actors at multiple scales, and through its projects, GIZ is proud to have co-created and implemented solutions with multiple national, state, and local partners. In this regard, the Indo-German support project for climate action also plays a prominent role in strengthening India's climate action. The project will enhance the capacities of decision makers at the national state levels to strengthen the coordination of climate action in India. I would like to express my gratitude to the Federal Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action, BMWK, for commissioning this project under its International Climate Initiative, ICI. At GIZ India, creating meaningful impact has been at the heart of our work and our efforts. Therefore, I'm really excited to share that through this project, for the first time, climate impact figures will be identified for specific Government of India programs. And that is really, really important because oftentimes we are talking, but we don't really know. Sector enterprises to support climate action and low carbon transition. India's public sector enterprises have been central to the country's development, contributing 13% to India's GDP. Given the sectors these enterprises work in, they now also have a major role to play when it comes to supporting the country's climate goals. And I'm really, really happy that so many of you came today to listen to what we are doing and what we will do in the future, because without you, the country will not move forward. So it's really important for you to be here and to share hands and to move forward together. GIZ India has always believed in co-creating solutions with our partners that ensure on-the-ground impact. And therefore, we understand the role India's PSEs have played in the future and that they will contribute to the achievement of India's NDCs. SCOPE and GIZ have a long-standing partnership that we heard about already today on supporting PSEs in climate action and the low carbon transition. In the past, the two organizations have worked together on the BMW funded Global Carbon Markets project, and this project helped public sector enterprises to explore options to adopt low carbon technology, increase resource efficiency, and enhance sustainability in their operations. As a part of this, SCOPE and GIZ India conducted a training needs assessment, which we already heard about earlier, so I'm not going to tell you again. This training needs assessment paved the way for a comprehensive training course, which we already heard about, and I hope that the impact is going to be felt because we have the Compendium. So we at GIZ India are very happy to take forward this collaboration, leverage and enhance existing synergies, and create opportunities that support India in achieving its climate goals. With the aim of developing methodologies to assess the climate co-benefits of circular economy and biodiversity programs, the project will not only support furthering India's climate goals, but will also strengthen the implementation and scaling up of these programs. Both circular economy and biodiversity have been identified as important topics for climate action by both the countries. Through this MOU, which is going to be signed today, we at GIZ India look forward to closely working with SCOPE once again. Thank you very much for the trust that you have in us. I look forward to seeing the results of this collaboration and wish an interactive day today and a successful implementation of this project. But I would like to end by saying that it is really important for all of us to stay together and to join hands, because it is not only the government, it's not only the private sector enterprises, it's all of us. तो मेरा उम्मीद है कि फ्यूचर में हम बिल्कुल फ्यूचर में जाते हैं, success आ रही है. Okay, thank you very much, and we are all together in this. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the Hindi ending to it. Shukriya, ma'am. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. So Thank you, ma'am, for outlining the need for engaging the public sectors and how important it is. And also, ma'am, we at SCOPE are equally committed to this subject and equally grateful for this partnership. Now is the time to hear about the industry perspective in this area. And for this, may I invite Mr. Gurdeep Singh, CMD NTPC, for his address. Sir has more than 3 decades of illustrious career in the power sector and has launched a series of initiatives to sustain NTPC's growth and bring a cultural change in the organization that broadens its horizon from merely being a thermal power generator to renewables. Over to you, sir. Welcome.
Good morning, His Excellency Dr. Philip Ackerman, German Ambassador to India, Sri Pawan Kumar ji, Principal Advisor, DPE, Dr. Julie Rivera, if hopefully I'm correct in pronunciation, from GIZ, my colleague in the PSES and Chairman of SCOPE and Chairman Gail, Mr. Gupta, Mr. Shopti, DG SCOPE, all distinguished guests present here and those who are connected online. First of all, let me thank Mr. Shopti ji as DG of SCOPE and GIZ, this GIZ team and SCOPE team for organizing this very important seminar event, which will go, I believe, will go in a long way, not only to create further awareness, which is already there, but also to take the actions which are going to coming out from these deliberations. This is very important and timely. I remember there was a similar event which was some time back, about a year back or so. And that time also we discussed, and from there and now, I think many things would have changed and the awareness has gone multifold. And we all know that this is being driven from the top, none other than Honorable Prime Minister, the Government of India, the ministries, then coming to our own CPSEs, any industries. And the importance of the public sector, which has been enumerated by Sri Shoptiji, that we all collectively and individually play a very important role in the growth and progress of our great nation. And there is no reason that we will be proactive to take necessary steps for this important subject, which is climate change and sustainability. And we will be going towards the climate resilience, and we will go on helping the growth of the nation and go on contributing in this. I would not like to get into what has been covered, and I must confess that most of the important issues have been covered by now, so I think the repetition becomes very difficult. So what I would like to just pick up then a few points to share with all of you, that as NTPC, we all know that, and thanks to Mr. Sopti that he introduced that NTPC started as National Thermal Power Corporation. So we are now saying that we are not only thermal power generation. I think that is the first step. And we are now in hydro, we are in solar, we are in wind, and we have already started work on the nuclear. In addition to that, we are taking steps which are going to go in a long way in a different areas, like the biomass co-firing to reduce the emissions because this is considered as a green, recyclable. We are taking a very innovative project in Banaras where we are trying to convert, rather we have established that, convert the municipal waste into green fuel, what we call it Harit Koila. So this is green coal, what we are just, and the scope of these two, the biomass plus the municipal waste to be converted into this green coal goes to substitute substantially the amount of coal what we consume. And this will go in a long way. The oil companies and Mr. Gupta has been with IOCL, they had been taking a lot of steps, and in GAIL also they will be taking a lot of steps for the CBG and other products like ethanol. What we are saying is that if there is no other use, please share with us that biomass so that we can do the last rites, means to burn it and utilize it. So that's what we had been saying, that don't burn in the fields, but you can undo that and we can save the climate. So those are some of the items what we had been thinking around. These are in addition to improve the efficiency in our plant operation, bringing the flexibility and try to integrate as much as renewable energy we can. I'm happy to share with you that we were the first company to sign the UN Energy Compact, where we had committed that we will be going for 60 gigawatt by 2032, and we will reduce our carbon intensity by 10%. In addition to this, we are also working on the very important subject. Climate is not only carbon dioxide, by the way. I think this is what we have to keep in mind. We are not only putting our FGDs and we are trying to reduce the NOx level in our thermal plants, but also we have now installed in our two plants, which is called air-cooled condenser, which consumes 1/4 of the water what is being consumed in the conventional power plant. So this is all, these are the steps which are much more important and far-reaching in the climate change, what we are talking about. We are more than happy to have the hand-holding on any of the company in the area of the power generation based on the expertise of our engineers and some of the scientists which are carrying out some research work in our Netra, what is our R&D institute, where we are undertaking the pilot project where we are capturing the carbon dioxide, which is already demonstrated. We have the green hydrogen and we are trying to convert that into green methanol. So that will be a true example of circular economy and reducing the carbon footprints. Basically, what we are trying to do is, I think you can just, yeah. So I would also like to share with all of you that phasing out or closing down the coal-based power plant immediately is not the option. We all know that what has happened some time back, even in Europe. They had to restart some of the plants what were stopped. But at the same time, what is important is that we should be prioritizing in this what I'm saying now, that each and every citizen should have the access to the clean energy, and there cannot be more cleaner source of energy for any person than electricity. We should have the reliability of the grid, what is there today. We have reached to then every household. We are having 24/7 power supply. So after deepening the grid, the extensive work which is going on is greening the grid. What Mr. Gupta also just mentioned, I think, in his. So while greening the grid, this is the steps what I just enumerated some time back, whether it is extensive renewable through solar and wind, or use of biomass and recycled products, those will play an important role. The other areas like efficiency improvement, etc., are very vital anyway. I think this is the one is the supply side, other is the consumption side. So there is a lot of work which all of us in the PSEs which we need to do. And net zero by 2070. And more importantly, I think as a nation, what we have committed, that will be achieved through those steps. Let me try to just see that what are some of the items if I have just missed. Just one more information which I would like to share. Padarpur power plant, I think those who had been in Delhi or who had visited Delhi about 5 years back or before that, only 3 years back, there used to be a power station in Padarpur which has been decommissioned, and we are developing eco park in the Ash Pond area, which is larger than the Central Park of New York, and that will be acting as a kind of lungs for that part of Delhi. Similarly, we are extensively taking a lot of plantation. As of today, we have approximately 33 million trees across the country, and we continuously invest in that. We have launched the Brighter Plan 2032 with an aim to accelerate our efforts in leading the energy transition by adopting the so-called 3D approach, which is decentralized, decarbonized, and digitalized. There is a lot of work which is going on, including whether we can participate into decentralized solar generation. And in addition to our solar energy parks, which is called UMREPP, Ultra Mega Renewable Energy Park, on one side and distributed on the other side. Another important step what we have taken is we are developing a green hydrogen hub at Pudimadka, which is in Andhra Pradesh near Visakhapatnam. We already have the 1200 acres of land which was supposed to be for imported coal-based power plant. So instead of that, we are developing the green hydrogen hub, where we will be utilizing wind and solar energy, and this hub will be utilized not only for generating hydrogen and ammonia and other chemicals, but also the ecosystem and the manufacturing related with the hydrogen economy. Another small things what we have already demonstrated, we had carried out a pilot plant where from the floating solar plant we have taken the electricity and convert that by splitting water into hydrogen, and that hydrogen is being blended with the gas network which is being supplied in our township. Though that is a very small, but I think that is the first step which should be helping us in a long way. We will rely on our friend, the sister organization or our PSC joiner friend, GAIL for the larger, where if we can produce at a larger volume and we can feed at one point and try to draw at the other point, like what we do in the electricity. We have been just working with IOCL, HPCL and others, and we invite all the public sectors that if you have any plans for your renewable energy generation, we are here to help you, either on standalone basis or joining hands with you in the form of the joint ventures. We have signed MOU with GE Power India Limited for reducing the carbon intensity from our NTPC coal-fired units. Tomorrow, we may be utilizing some portion of the green ammonia to reduce that emission. That is one of the immediate in the horizon. The another one, very soon we will be commissioning the hydrogen powered ecosystem for 2 or 3 buses in Leh, where the solar power is at present the work is going on, and we believe that by August, September we will be able to demonstrate that we will be producing hydrogen there, and the buses will be utilizing that hydrogen, and that will be a kind of green, completely green sources of not only energy but the mobility also. So there are few pilots, but there are many more things which we need to do as individually, as we said, and collectively, we as public sector, because public sector plays an important role, which was explained by Mr. Sopti, Mr. Gupta, and we will be keeping ahead of the curve, and let's work together and thank SCOPE, and I would request SCOPE also, before I just conclude, that we have very good training institutes in NTPC, which is called under the aegis of Power Management Institute, which is in Noida, and we have the NTPC School of Business. So we will be more than happy to join hands for the conducting any kind of training program and help in the capacity building in that way. And let's try to show the other industries that how public sector can lead, like what we have done earlier in this climate change, and to make that the net zero or the ambitious plans of our government are fulfilled in a timely manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for outlining how NTPC and many PSEs are actually moving beyond the conservative forms of energy. And also, thank you, sir, for extending NTPC's help in making this project even bigger. Thank you very much, sir. Now it is time to hear the government perspective, and today we are privileged to have with us Shri Pawan Kumarji, Principal Advisor, Department of Public Enterprises, Ministry of Finance for the purpose. Shri Kumar holds more than 30 years of experience working with both private and public enterprises, and has also worked in government departments including Department of Expenditure, DDA, Department of Commerce and Department of Economic Affairs. Now I would like to invite Shri Pawan Kumarji for his address, please, and outlining how Government of India is committed towards that. Welcome, sir.
Good morning and namaskar. His Excellency Dr. Philip Ackerman, Ambassador to India. My neighbor panelists, Julie Reverie, Gurdeep Singh ji, Sandeep Kumar Gupta ji, Atul Sopti ji, Mr. Mohammad Al Khawad, Executive Board members of SCOPE, Chief Executives and Directors of CPSCs, Senior Officers from DPE, other government departments, SCOPE and SCOPE-GIZ. Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. तो गुरदीप सिंह जी के बाद तो मेरे लिए कुछ खास बचा ही नहीं है. मैं एमओयू में आपको देख लूंगा. Oh, so I'm delighted to take part in this as representative of DPE.
So I have made a mistake by coming here.
एक नंबर ज्यादा मिलेगा उसका.
Thank you.
So it gives me immense pleasure to be amongst the esteemed panelists, and as SCOPE and GEZ showcases the efforts of public sector in India for reducing the carbon footprints and prepare to enter into a renewed commitment to take agenda of climate change mitigation forward. And friends, you know what is the main reason of extinction of Harappa civilization? It was climate change. One of the main reasons was climate change. It has come recently during the research of Rochester Institute of Technology, and one Indian, Mr. Malik, is there, who is doing research work on this. So you see what are the impacts of climate change. So it is a very serious issue, and I believe we are all concerned. I request SCOPE to increase scope to go beyond CPSCs and to create awareness up to panchayat level, or I request CPSCs to unorganized sector, to SMEs, so that, because this is a giant before us, and if we are all, but it is part of, if the CPSCs are brain of this system or heart of this system, the other parts are also to be taken care. So I request SCOPE and CPSCs to increase especially the awareness program to unorganized sector, SMEs. So plus recently we have done a lot of programs with SCOPE. We have done Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. So this man is also there. So we are doing awareness on this climate change. And last year also DPE with some CPSCs, since the SEBI has now introduced ESG to the top corporates. So we have done an awareness program for that also. And I am not an expert on this subject. Plus we are trying to do with the help of SCOPE or CPSCs to create awareness. At least we can create awareness, and we don't want to, in this case, we don't want to limit our scope to only CPSCs. So we request CPSCs and SCOPE to go beyond to agriculture, to SMEs, especially because agriculture is the most affected area. So we need to create awareness. So not much is left for me to say on the subject. So I assure SCOPE that wherever and they need help of DPE or support of DPE, we are here to help you. And in case of awareness, we are here. In case, I think we should spread this, and more such programs we may organize in the CPSC's campuses or in the small cities, and we can invite public also in those programs. So in this journey, I assure DP's support wherever and whenever required. I wish you all the best. Thank you. I will not take much time since I'm not the expert on the subject. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these inputs. And now we have the immense pleasure and privilege to have the German ambassador to India with us, His Excellency Dr. Philipp Ackermann, and very interested to hear your input.
Very much. I don't know whether you are as charmed as by this very original choreography that, like I am, because this is very Germanic. The Germans are introduced by Germans and the Indians are introduced by Indians. I would say that it might be a good idea to change that, actually. You know, I mean, Madam G, you should introduce the Indian side maybe. Next time. So, let me say that it is I'm in the worst position here. You know, number 6 after 6 speeches is really very difficult to come up with some news, and I will try to keep it very short because I'm thinking, or you are thinking about the buffet outside, I'm sure, and not about what I have to say. I'm very pleased to be here. Very pleased because I think that MOU that is going to be signed reflects a bit the granularity, I would say, the depth of our partnership in the context of fighting climate change and adapting to climate change. I think it's a very interesting MOU. It's a very interesting idea, and it shows how much we are entrenched in this very important problem, India and Germany. So it gives me immense pleasure to be here today because I think it shows how much we engage with India on this. I recognize, first of all, of course, the whole leadership of SCOPE and the executives of the PSE, but also I recognize the leadership of GIZ. You should know that GIZ is way bigger than the German embassy and has way more money. It's I don't say that with envy. I say it with a certain satisfaction because it shows again, you know, how big we are in this business with India, and I think it is a very, very good development. I think everybody knows about the consequences of climate change, and I was very impressed with the with the description of how India suffered from this phenomenon, and I'm always very amazed by the clarity the Indian side sees this, the clarity and the consciousness of that you find in India. I think also we have to acknowledge, you know, the enormous effort India has taken or undertaken. We have seen the leap forward by updating its NDCs, thus committing to reduce the emissions intensity of gross domestic product to 45% below 2005 levels by 2030, very important, and to achieve 50% of electricity generation capacity from non-fossil fuels by 2030 already, which is also quite an ambitious goal. We have seen with great satisfaction that India has announced to increase its targets taken at the Bonn challenge to restore degraded and deforested land from 21 million hectares to 26 million hectares, which is, I think, a very, very important development and an announcement that we appreciate a lot. So I think these various commitments show that India is very serious about the much needed low carbon transition. And that's why I think India is such a good partner for our cooperation here. And I would say that, and that's what I learned also today through the other speeches, is that these public sector enterprises, which are so big and still so important in India, are in this endeavor of strategic importance. They are not only strategically important to the Indian economy, they are also very important in this transition effort we are all undertaking. 13%, I understand, to India's GDP they are contributing, and they, of course, just learned, you know, how much they are in energy producing, and that's, of course, the key sectors in this whole undertaking. I think it is paramount to have India's giant PSEs on board for a low carbon transition. That is just, that creates green jobs, trains green skills, accelerates research and technology development, and thereby contributes to all the efforts made by India to meet its climate targets. We have learned how much you have done already in this endeavor, and I'm very impressed by it. Some PSE have spearheaded innovations in their sectors with new proprietary technologies and processes that reduce emissions and enhance resource efficiency. But I think that reflects in a way something that I have understood when I came to India 8 months ago, namely that what is good for climate also is good for business in a way. And I would say, I'm not talking PSE alone. What I'm very, very fond of or impressed by is that the Indian private sector is basically a leader in this question how to reduce carbon emissions. And when I talk to my government, I always say government to government is what we do. That's what our business is. But you should also look outside the government. There is a lot to be seen and to be discovered when you talk to private sector in this regard, and PSE in a way are in between. You are in between the government and private sector. Therefore, I'm very happy to see you jumping on this wagon also. So Germany stands ready to collaborate with India in addressing climate change. I said that before. Environment and climate are priority areas of Indo-German cooperation, and this focus got the highest notification, you might remember, by the Prime Minister himself and German Chancellor Scholz, who signed the Indo-German Green and Sustainable Development Partnership last year, when the whole Indian cabinet traveled to Berlin to meet with their German counterparts in these intergovernmental consultations. And I think when the Prime Minister signs something, it is done. It's something that will not be put in some drawer, but it will be pursued. And therefore, I think that Green and Sustainable Development Partnership is one of our signature dishes in our common cooperation. And I think this MOU, as I said at the beginning, reflects the granularity of this partnership. We have more than 100 bilateral projects currently, with a funding volume of approximately 435 million euro, engaging in environment, climate change and biodiversity, energy, sustainable urban and industrial development, sustainable agri-food systems, and sustainable economic development. This is very impressive. We've spent last year we spent 1.3 billion euros on this together with our Indian partners, and we will. In this partnership, we committed ourselves to do that for the next 10 years, which is quite, that makes India the single largest recipient of funding for such an German funding for such an enterprise worldwide. So that's how seriously we take the partnership with India. And in addition to that, we have two major platforms for bilateral cooperation. One is the Indo-German Energy Forum, and the second is the Indo-German Environment Forum, working groups that meet regularly and try to develop common plans and strategies to tackle. And I think also here, PSEs have a role to play, and we talked about green hydrogen. I think this is something where in this context, that might be of great importance. Not least, the global challenge of climate change needs combined efforts for innovative solutions. Thus, not only technology transfer is required, but joint technology development. And that's what the Prime Minister himself has been pointing out at international climate conferences time and again. And in this context, allow me briefly to refer to one institution here, which is very close to my heart, namely the Indo-German Science and Technology Center. That was established 2006 already, so quite a long time ago, to facilitate Indo-German research and development in a networking effort through substantive interactions amongst governments, academia, research systems, and industries. Flagship program 2+2 mode of partnership, the Science and Technology Center intends to catalyze innovative research and development projects by synergizing the strengths of research and academic institutions and public and private industries from India and Germany. Maybe also interesting for scope companies. So public enterprises in India, like the cement and the steel sector, are developing energy efficiency and other low carbon technologies to reduce their emissions. Thus, the Indo-German Science and Technology Center could make an important contribution to strengthen collaboration between science and public sector enterprises and accelerate the translation of research results into new processes and services that would help us jointly master the challenges of future for the benefit of both our countries. I'd say that with a certain emphasis here, because I think we don't know enough, or India doesn't know enough about this very, very good institution, and we should sit together and reflect a bit how we can include this technology center in our reflections here. So we have a deep relationship. Both our countries are committed to work together on sustainable green development. And I'm convinced that by adopting sustainable practices, embracing innovation, and leveraging on India and Germany's partnership, the PSEs can become champions of climate action and contribute to a greener, more resilient India. And that, as we all know, is more needed than ever. All countries, all enterprises, all of us must act decisively. The cost of inaction now would be so much higher for all of us tomorrow. The urgency is now, the urgency of now is here, and I want to quote the Secretary General of the United Nations here, who has, I think, very poignantly made this point to say, it's the defining issue of our age. It's the central challenge of our century, and it is unacceptable, outrageous, and self-defeating to put it on the back burner. And I think there we all have to work together that this doesn't happen. So, ladies and gentlemen, friends and colleagues, let me conclude by saying that in all our efforts against climate change, one thing is clear: in fighting climate change, the world cannot do without India, and India cannot do without its public sector enterprises. Thank you for your attention. Best wishes to SCOPE, GIZ, and all the eminent officials present today for accelerating this partnership on climate action by India's most important.
Thank you, sir, for giving us the tagline. So, country, India, the world cannot do without India, and India cannot do without a public sector. I think this tagline will carry forward, sir, certainly. Thank you very much. So thank you for acknowledging India's role in this important agenda, the global agenda, and also highlighting the need for knowledge sharing and moving beyond silos. Thank you so much, sir. Now the time has come to release the much awaited compendium. May I request the dignitaries to please do the honors, and as my colleagues hand over the inaugural copies to you. So this compendium reflects the innovative efforts of 26 PSEs to mitigate the climate change, and many of the PSEs are present here today, and many of us have also joined us virtually. So the efforts are being unveiled today as PSEs are doing what needs to be done and are gearing up to do more. So unveiling of the compendium of innovative technologies for all of you, please. The participants can collect their copies of the compendium from the registration desk after the event. As we have unveiled the efforts of the PSCs to combat climate change through technological advancement, now let us see how the same is being done practically, especially by PSCs present in hard-to-abate sectors. For this, SCOPE and GIZ have prepared a short video on the climate action and green initiatives by PSCs to showcase the climate mitigation initiatives by the enterprises in hard-to-abate sectors. May I have the video, please, which clearly reflects on the release of the video.
1 to 5 years of climate action in India gave already measures and accounts for scope 1 and 2 emissions. Besides core product natural gas, which is the cleanest among fossil fuels, GAIL has also developed a substantial renewable energy portfolio. NTPC Limited has outlined a three-pronged climate change strategy. Transition front in India and aligning its decarbonization strategy with the government of India's priorities. Majority of NTPC's INR 1 trillion investments planned between 2019 and 2024 are focused towards low carbon energy generation. Over the years, ONGC has adopted and introduced numerous pioneering initiatives to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. ONGC disclosed its greenhouse gas inventory based on global standards and protocols. The company has entered into an MOU with Indian Oil Corporation Limited. They have introduced an array of clean and environment-friendly technologies, resulting in reduced specific CO2 emissions. Corporate efforts, solar lighting systems have been installed across the properties and nearby villages. They also set targets to help contribute to India's NDCs and to help India reach its objective of creating an additional carbon sink to additional peak cover by 2030. NHPC Limited committed to the development of sustainable renewable energy projects, sustainable and socially responsible manner. To be designated as an intermediate procurer, renewable energy implementing agency. NHPC is also partnering as a corporate member of the International Solar Alliance, ISA. Western Oilfields Limited has undertaken various sustainable development initiatives to restore natural beauty and greenery post the extraction of coal, utilize mine water for groundwater recharge and domestic and irrigation purposes. Stand from overburden for use as construction and soil. Company is committed to make profitable use of mining to ensure inclusive growth of.
So this is just a glimpse into what the Indian PSEs are doing. So in Hindi, ये तो बस शुरुआत है. The picture is still to unfold. And we seek cooperation of all of you, all the public sectors who are offline and online with us to make this project come true. Here, I would like to express my heartiest gratitude to all the participating PSCs for allowing access into their facilities and allowing us to capture the shots so that we could present this to you. So a big round of applause to the participating PSCs also. After this eye-opening video, the time has come to further fortify the collaboration between SCOPE and GIZ by signing another MOU with another list of to-dos and to further commit ourselves for the cause of climate change. For this, may I request Director General SCOPE and Country Director GIZ to please come forward for the MOU signing along with the co-signatories, Mr. Mohammad Al-Khawad and Shubratna, Mr. Shubratna from SCOPE. I request the principal signatories to please sign on every page of the MOU. Yeah. May I request the co-signatories to please sign on the last page? I request the co-signatories to please sign on the last page, Mr. Al-Khawad and Mr. Shubratna, please. Mr. Al-Khawad, we request you to please sign. It is indeed a historical moment as the MOU is being signed in presence of Indo-German partnership under the blessings of Indian and German government. It is indeed a blessing. Thank you so much.
Just
While we've entered into a new collaboration to further a green environment, let's see what the MOU entails. And for this, may I request Ms. Karen Deckenbach, Project Manager, Indo-German Support Project for NDC Climate Action in India from GIZ, to give an overview of the project. Over to you, Karen.
Why did they lift it down?
Yeah.
And then I do it happen. Well, after all these speeches and all the introductions, I'm very happy to introduce you to the GIZ project on behalf of the German government and the Ministry of Climate Action. That is the Indo-German Support Project for Climate Action in India. What this MOU is actually about. You can see. Yeah. Our political partner is the MOFCC, and the German side I already mentioned. Cooperation partners are first and foremost SCOPE, but also CII for the private sector and TERI for the ICI interface function. So our main output is a climate co-benefit approach in the two focus areas, circular economy, resource efficiency, and forestry and biodiversity. And this relates very much to a lot of scope activities where we will, with this project and also the MOU, contribute to develop climate co-benefit approaches, also including models of public and private sector collaboration for the implementation of climate co-benefit approaches. So we are not only talking about capacity building, now we really talk about implementation. So this is climate co-benefits are supporting development programs of the government of India, as well as public and private sector investments that do not have a climate focus, but still generate important climate mitigation or adaptation impacts. So far, most of these sectors lack methodologies to really account climate co-benefits measured in greenhouse gas mitigation sinks and adaptation impacts, also very crucial. The objective of this MOU is building capacities of public sector enterprises on climate change, carbon markets, very important for raising additional climate finance, for example, through internal carbon pricing. We already did this with Gale and SAIL to support a study on internal carbon pricing and the use it could be done with it. SDGs, climate finance, I mentioned already, and implementing pilots. So we are really ready to talk the talk and do the work. The training and capacity building that was mentioned extensively already, we will continue to do this and also developing sectoral training manuals for PSEs. And yes, that was the main point. Fostering partnerships. This is what we have already trained since 2019 between public sector enterprises, GIZ, and the whole Indo-German collaboration. This is what I think now is the very way forward, supporting implementation, developing these pilot projects in the focus areas and hand-holding PSEs or work together to develop strategies to utilize tools and identify action areas, and then not least exploring possibilities of fund-based projects to implement these pilots. We already have various ideas we will then very soon join with you and share with you, and then I think we can very soon embark on real goal and implementation. Including, also this was mentioned, there is an Indo-German green hydrogen task force, which was again signed by Prime Minister Modi and the German Chancellor. So there's very high importance on this, and several of the PSEs have mentioned to be active in green hydrogen fields already, and we should definitely explore more opportunities to really make it go in. Okay, this is the roles of GIZ and SCOPE. I will not read this out because we have enough experience now to be reliable partners who love to work together. And I'm absolutely sure also this MOU will run smoothly, and we are very delighted for this cooperation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Karen, for highlighting what the MOU entails. Now, without any much further ado, I would like to declare the event formally closed. And before that, we would like to express a heartfelt thanks on behalf of both SCOPE and GIZ to all the dignitaries who could make time for the event today. Chairman SCOPE, CMD SAIL, Dr. Julie, Ambassador, Mr. Pawan Kumar, Gurdeep Singh Ji, and our own DG SCOPE. And of course, a heartfelt thanks to all the board members who could be present here. It is indeed very encouraging. Thank you to DP officials for once again supporting us in this important endeavor. And thank you all for coming here, making time for this event and encouraging us once more. A special thanks to people who have joined us online who could not come here due to paucity of space. But thank you once again, and we look forward to working with you even more deeply. Thank you to the media for being here and covering this event. It deserves its due. This subject deserves its due. Thank you very much, and thank you to the SCOPE and GIZ team for making this all possible.